I definitely want to ask you a few questions about like the book process.
Sure.
How long from start to finish did it take you to write? Like when did you initially start writing with the intent to put this book together?
Yeah, I started by writing an essay around the Chicago Marathon because, like, to an earlier part of this discussion, writing helps me make sense of my experiences and to kind of encapsulate them. The guys who founded Pixar, they talk about giving the suitcase a handle. And what they mean is, like, you have this experience, it's this big unwieldy thing. It's like, wow, I went through a lot there. And training for a marathon is a lot. It's several months of experience. And so by breaking it down and writing it, I give it a handle, like something that makes the unwieldy experience I can hang on to it. I've encapsulated it in this little essay. I know what it meant to me now. I started writing that, and I just felt like in the effort of writing it, I got like inspired to run another one. And I felt like as I was going, I'd sit down to like work on another work, and I would find I had way more in my head to say about running. And so it's like, hey, let's not fight this. Like, this is the way the wind is blowing. Let's ride it. And so that started to form into structure. And, as I'm shaping out this marathon training plan, and that's what gave the book its shape of being 20 weeks. And when you talk about rediscovering your why and having a really strong why, as I would rediscover my motivation for the marathon on a weekly basis and the training was hard, I found new stories about like my past. And it's interesting how taking an activity really seriously, and writing is very therapeutic in a lot of ways, makes you recontextualize the events of a past in a way that serves you presently. The past is never dead. It's not even the past. It's living with you now in your memory. That's a Hemingway. And so it just kind of evolved, and somewhere around like what became like the goal is success chapter we talked about, I was like, okay, I have enough here. I can roll this out. And so I just decided, well, let's do a couple thousand words per chapter. That's an easy amount for me. I can grind that out pretty effortlessly. And we'll just break these down into topics that I would share with people in the approach. And I was writing it before I'd finished the marathon. So from conception to finishing, I probably wrote the first draft in like 4 months.
That's pretty quick.
It's when I get rolling, I can produce some words.
Yeah.
And then the first draft, it's not really that important. It's like you'll make it cleaner. And so then I spent the next couple months like shaping, and after the third or fourth draft, I let a couple buddies read it. They got their feedback, what's impactful, what's not. I went through it one more time, and then I gave it to a person who did like the real nitty-gritty spot check of the editing. It doesn't matter how many times you go through it, you just leave a bunch of errors everywhere.
Yeah.
And then I did all the graphic design myself, which I'm really proud of, like the presentation of the book.
Can I see the cover of it?
Yeah. So that's a picture I took when I was running Ragnar from Denver to Fort Collins. So one of these van relay races.
I've heard those are a ton of fun.
Dude, they're a blast, man. If you can get 11 dudes together, enough good runners that, man, if you did like a hood to coast type of run to Mount Hood to the coast of Oregon, I bet you guys could put together a hell of a competitive team.
That'd be great, man. I've heard they're a ton of fun. I like that team aspect of it.
Oh, it's great, man. I ran hood to coast, and I pulled together a bunch of buddies, like both my brothers, my high school best friend, some dudes I've been close to that are like now in other states, and we all got together, and it was just awesome. We really reconnected, and you're never closer to anyone than the people you suffer with.
Yeah.
So like we all come out of that, and like that. We wrapped that race back in August. The text chain is still thriving. Like we need each other now. So yeah, I recommend that to anybody. It compresses the communal aspect of running and like a lot of the distance training. But you might run 17 miles in the race total, but it breaks it up into chunks, so it's manageable for real beginners. So but yeah, the graphic design, literally everything in the book was of my own creation. And once I finally got some critical reviews from like Kirkus, and I had some like marketing calls, and the feedback I recently got, like a guy who's a designer online who was like praising the cover and the design of the book. I was like, you're the first dude who's giving me a shout out on my graphic design shops. And it meant a lot to me, you know?
Yeah.
It's like you try to make it good.
It did. What I've learned with graphic design, I'm so bad with it, is like simplicity is the key. Like, don't try to add too much.
Get into these crazy, that filter drop down will wreck you.
Yeah.
Like, don't do it.
And that's I think why that baby works so well is because it's like, it's simple. It's like
Clean.
the photo, it's clean. The text is, I like it a lot. Dude, that's so cool to have like a physical creation.
Yeah, it's not an insubstantial satisfaction to have a book on your shelf that like I created this thing, I built it.
Right.
You know, so much of the content today is ephemeral. And so even though most of my sales will be audio, it's like, here's the thing. Like I built it myself. So the whole process, it depends, you know, for each individual, like how good you are at it. Honestly, the most difficult work, if I guess it depends what your skill set is, but like writing it was easy for me. It's once you finish it, and then like you have to read and edit the audiobook and put it together. And you have to schedule all the launch and learn the distribution platforms. And it just takes a while to cobble it all together.
Yeah. And you self-published, right?
Self-published. It's funny. I talked to a lot of agents prior. And, you know, some of them are just like, I don't have time for you. But some of them took time and gave me like incredible advice, which I'm grateful for. And it's like, well, if you have all the skill set to do your own publishing, like for a first-time author that doesn't have like, you know, look, if I already had, you know, 500,000 Instagram followers, anybody would take my business.
Right.
I wouldn't even need a good idea because like your marketing arm is already built.
Yeah.
But like if you don't have that, then like a publisher is not going to do that much for you. They're going to make it look professional. They'll handle a lot of the production quality. And that is a great boon if you're really busy on other things, but it's also a cost.
Yeah.
So, you know, I was able to do all that myself, and then it's just like, it's all an education. Like, how do you launch a book? How do you like get the word out there? If you have a large service or something that you do that you're drawing people to, and the book is kind of like a marketing extension, you can justify a lot bigger advertising budget.
Right.
You know, if you don't, like me, it's like, well, we got to go the PR route. So like I found people who it's like, this is a message that makes sense. So people like you, Jackson Mitchell, Joe Rinaldi, I'll be going on the Diz Runs podcast like a couple of weeks.
How long are you in Austin for?
I'll be leaving Friday morning.
Okay, I can maybe connect you with some other people I know locally that have podcasts that would probably love to have you on.
Dude, that would be incredible.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
Heck yeah. Dude, it's like, I mean, the book is great. It's like, I used to do a lot of marketing and like photo and video and stuff. And I would tell every client is like, we can make the coolest video in the entire world for like your product, which might be the coolest product in the whole world. But if nobody knows about it, like if you can't show it to people and they can't see it, it's like, then what's the point? It's the same thing with like a book or a piece of work. Is like, you could have the best book in the entire world, but if nobody knows about it, like, from a business standpoint, what value is it really?
You write something for it to be read.
Exactly, right. Yeah. And I'm sure, I mean, I think about this all the time with like the content is like, or even the podcast is a good example. Like if not a single person listened to this, like, would you still do it? I'm sure you'd still write a book if not a single person read it, but
100%.
It makes it better when you can get it out to the world.
Yeah. Jackson asked me about that on like my own goals and like what would count as like the book being successful. And it was successful the moment I knew it was good.
Yeah.
Like I want as many people to read it because like I want it to be able to enrich people's lives. And you know, you need a reader base for that to happen, for enough people to hear about it. Like it's like throwing seeds in the soil. Like most of them aren't going to make it, but the ones that make it are what bear fruit. And so you need to give it a good effort. And if you put that much effort into building the thing, you need to give it a little bit of effort so it can like breathe and have life. And so that's why I'm trying to make some of the marketing rounds. There's not like a sales goal that'll make me happy. There's not like, there's 0% chance I get rich off this thing, right? It's just like, let's give it the best push we can. I mean, my personal goal is just like 100 Amazon reviews. And it's like, well, that's enough of a base of feedback that I can then, like, for the next effort, take it and hopefully build a little bit more momentum around it to say like, hey, look, I have a talent here. There are people who appreciate it, and this is worth investing in.
Yeah.
And hopefully, in the years to come, I will be wiser and more insightful and have more to offer than I have in like an initial book effort. And so it's a milestone along the way, and I love it for what it is. It's really like my first, I've long aspired like, man, if I could be a writer, that'd be the thing. And this is like my first baby, man. It's like, okay, here's the thing. And it is good. And I no longer hesitate to say that.
Yeah.
And I used to not have the confidence for it, but yeah, we'll see. Like I'm already happy with it. And then, I got to figure out what I want to write next. I got so many ideas nipping at me, and I'm not really like, my life isn't just running. Right? And so I'm a little nervous about like, well, okay, you wrote a running book and then like a science fiction novel. Like, where are you going here? But we'll figure that out.
Just do what makes you happy. Do what you want to do.
That's the ticket.
Yeah, dude. I love that, man. Again, I just love seeing people that do the thing that they love. Like it's so sad. I have so many friends in my hometown in Wyoming where they they're so good at like making music or at drawing or something. And then like I've seen their work, but they don't pursue it because they're stuck in that other third of life where they just have to spend too much time working and they don't have time to pursue that hobby. It's so sad. So I love when people are able to like take that passion and that hobby and turn it into something. I've said it 6 times on this podcast now, but I love it so much.
Well, it's true, man. And that's what, like, look, ultimately, when I think about you, that's what I think about. And that's why I started this off asking that question, like, man, if I gave you 100 million, what are you you're going to be you.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that I admire most of all. And I think it takes an intentionality. And, I think Travis Osborne in your last podcast was talking about this a little bit when he set up his own practice. Is like, this thing's going to tank for a year.
Yeah.
Not tank, you're building something, but it's like, I am going to bleed for this.
Yep.
And before it becomes something that can stand on its own. And at some point I had to accept that. And it's part of the, my whole thing about give yourself some grace. Like, it's okay to have bad days. Like, it's more about the persistence and the performance, because with something like writing, like, I'm in the first stages, So the ability to get it out to finish, like, that's what teaches you something. And I think a lot of people, if you make music, you probably want to make like a perfect album. Just make an album.
Yeah.
It'll teach you what you need to know about making a good album, and be okay with having some failures under the belt. Like, as a writer, everybody wants to come out like burning the doors down and like winning these awards and have everybody, oh, what a talent. And it's like, you can't think that way.
Yeah.
That's not the important thing. Does it nourish you? Does it enrich others? Then it is worthy. And once I got my head around that, I had all the peace of mind I needed.